Hey, this is Mariela from The Functional Company. So in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about how to count your carbohydrates. So now that you know you have to really control your blood sugar, and if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check out that episode. But if you're looking into how to count carbohydrates, I have a couple of examples here just so we can get into it. But the main thing to know is when you look at the front label of anything, it's more of a marketing thing, right? It's telling you, trying to really promote and pique your interest. But what you really want to do is flip the whole canister from the front and make sure you flip it over and you get to know the ingredients, which is where really the most of the information is, and the nutrition facts. So currently, because we're going to be counting carbohydrates, we're going to be looking at the nutrition facts of the item. So in this one, we see that you're going to look at where it says total carbohydrates. And that in this case says 2 grams. And then right underneath that, it says dietary fiber, and it says 1 gram. And I'll show you what that looks like right here. Okay, so you have 2 grams total carbohydrates and 1 gram of dietary fiber. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the total carbohydrates, which is 2, and you're gonna subtract the fiber, which is 1. Why are we subtracting the fiber? Because the fiber acts like a buffer for glucose in terms of how it gets into our blood. So it makes it so that your blood sugar doesn't rise so quickly. And so that's why we can subtract the fiber from the total carbohydrates. So now we know we have total carbs 2, 1 fiber, so 2 minus 1 is 1. That's what we call net carbohydrates, and that's what we're gonna consider counting. And right now we're gonna take a framework of about 60 grams of carbohydrates, and we wanna get most of it from vegetables. But this might go down or up depending on what you're trying to do for your health, and depending on the state of your body or your goals, etc., and the size of your body. So it all just depends on multiple factors, but for now we're just looking at counting carbohydrates, right? So that's what you're going to do. So now we know that this has 1 gram of carbohydrates, but the next question is, well, what's the serving size? So now you got to make sure that you're looking at the serving size, and serving size here says 2 tablespoons. So for every 2 tablespoons, there is 1 gram of net carbs. And now the next question is, well, how many servings are in this container? In this case, it says 10 servings per container. So you can see that right there. 10 servings per container, and then 1 serving is 2 tablespoons, right? So if I had 2 tablespoons of this, then I'm basically having 1 net carb. But if I had the entire container, then I know that I have to multiply basically 1 carbohydrate times 10. So this whole canister container has 10 net carbohydrates. So that's one example. Here's another example. We've got some almond milk. Remember, the front is marketing, beautiful marketing, but what we want to do is always flip it and go to the back and see what the ingredients are. We want to have simple ingredients, and currently we're just going to focus on the carbohydrates, right? So we have total carbohydrates here. It says 5 grams of carbohydrates. And right underneath the total carbohydrates, it says fiber, dietary fiber, 3 grams of fiber. So what does that mean? We're going to subtract 5 total carbohydrates, and then we're going to subtract the 3 fiber from the 5. So we're going to have 2 net carbs, right? 2 net carbs. Now the next question is, well, what's the serving size? So we look at the serving size here, it says 8 fluid ounces. So 8 ounces, if I took out 8 ounces of this, then I know I'm going to be getting 2 net carbs. But then the next question is, well, how many servings are in this whole container? Well, the servings per container is 3.5 servings. So I know if I had the entire thing, then I'd have to multiply my 2 net carbs and multiply it times 3.5, because that's how many servings are in here. And if I wanted to make sure I only had 2 carbs from this consumption, then I have to make sure to keep it to the serving size. This is always the biggest piece, because you look at something and you're like, oh, it only has 15 grams of carbohydrates. How many servings? 4. Oh my gosh. So it's like, I ate the whole thing, you know, and then you have to multiply that. So it can really creep up if you don't take care of the servings and make sure to look at these different items. So you're checking total carbohydrates, subtract the fiber, check the serving size, and then based on all those factors, you're going to figure out how much of a portion you're going to serve yourself of that thing to keep yourself within your own carbohydrate target. And like I said, that's going to vary for different people in different ways, but that's basically how you're going to count net carbohydrates. All right, hopefully that was helpful for you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the flip side.